Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Luciane Bauker. I'm the clerk helping out with procedures this afternoon. I work for Democratic Services in Woking Borough Council. I can see that the panel members are present and the officers and the other interested parties. However, our legal representative is not here yet, so I suggest we just wait a few minutes. Oh, there she is. Let me just confirm that Rachel can hear us. Rachel, can you hear us?
I certainly can, yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. We have gone live on YouTube, so I'm going to start the meeting by asking the panel members to elect a chair for this hearing, please.
I suggest Beth Rowland, please.
Can I second that?
Okay, Beth, you've been duly elected, so it's over to you.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for coming along this afternoon. We're now going to introduce ourselves to each other. I'm Beth Rowland. I am the elected member for Woodley Southlake. Jackie?
My name is Jackie Rance. I represent Shinfield.
Hi, I'm Chris Cook. I represent the Westcott ward.
And now the officers.
Kieran Hinchcliffe, licensing manager.
Alec Cullenbear, licensing officer.
Alistair Jenkinson, inspector with South Central Immigration Enforcement Team.
Gary Clark, licensing officer for Thames Valley Police.
I'm Raj Hundal. I'm with the Immigration Enforcement Licensing and Compliance Team.
I'm Rachel Lucas. I'm legal advisor to the panel this afternoon.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask the subcommittee if they have any interest to declare?
Nothing to declare now.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to outline the procedure and reaffirm that only information relevant to representation can be considered, and that such information must be relevant to the licensing objectives. The licensing objectives we work to are the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance and protection of children from harm. And I'm going to ask the licensing officer to introduce the hearing report and update the subcommittee on any developments following publication of the report. Thank you. Alec or Kieran, which one of you is it going to be?
Thank you, Chair. So, Section 51 of the Licensing Act 2003 provides for a responsible authority to apply to the licensing authority for a review of a premises licence. The purpose of this report is to provide the relevant information for the subcommittee to consider and determine the application from the Home Office Immigration Enforcement for review of a premises licence at Taipan Restaurant, 103 Old Wokingham Road, Crowthorne, RG456LH. Members are requested to determine the application for review in accordance with Section 52 of the Licensing Act 2003, having regard to the review application, representations received, and the requirement to promote the 4 licensing objectives. The following options are open to the Licensing and Appeal Subcommittee: to modify the conditions of the licence, either permanently or for a period not exceeding 3 months; to exclude a licensable activity from the scope of the licence, either permanently or for a period not exceeding 3 months; to remove the designated premises supervisor; to suspend the licence for a period not exceeding 3 months; to revoke the licence; to issue formal warnings to the designated premises supervisor and/or premises licence holder, or to take no action. The premises licence PR 0527 relates to Taipan Restaurant, 103 Old Wokingham Road, Crowthorne, RG456LH. This licence authorises the following activities: the supply of alcohol for both on and off sales from 1200 hours to 2300 hours from Sunday to Thursday, and 1200 hours to 2330 hours Friday and Saturday, and the provision of late night refreshment from 2300 hours till 2330 hours Friday and Saturday. The licence holder and designated premises supervisor is Mr. William Chung. His personal licence is issued by Spelthorne Borough Council. The premises licence for Taipan Restaurant is attached as Appendix A. An application for review of the premises licence was submitted by the Home Office Immigration Enforcement on the 25th of November 2024. A copy was also sent to the premises licence holder. The grounds for the review are that illegal working has been observed and has been identified at the premises, giving the applicant grounds to believe that the licence holder has failed to meet the licensing objective of the prevention of crime and disorder. Full details of the review are set out in the review application and supporting information, which are attached as Appendix B. The application has been properly made and all procedures correctly followed. Photographs of the blue notices in place are attached as Appendix C. The responsible authorities, including the consultation, are Thames Valley Police, Royal Berkshire Fire and Rescue, Environmental Health, Trading Standards, Public Health, the Local Planning Authority, the Local Safeguarding Children Board, and Home Office Immigration Enforcement. One representation was received from Thames Valley Police during the consultation period, recommending revocation of the licence. This representation is attached as Appendix B. Those that have made a representation have been informed of the time and date of the Licensing and Appeals Subcommittee hearing and have been informed of their right to attend. In terms of legal considerations, conditions may only be attached to a premises licence where they are deemed appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives. They must be proportionate and not duplicate any existing provisions contained in other legislation. The justification behind a refusal or the attachment of conditions must be given to the applicant. The subcommittee is advised that any findings on any issues of fact should be on the balance of probabilities, and any decision should be based on the individual merits of the application. The subcommittee, in arriving at its decision, must have regard to relevant provisions of national guidance and its own statement of licensing policy, and reasons should be given for any departure. There is a right of appeal to the Magistrates' Court within 21 days from the date the applicant is notified of the decision of the Licensing and Appeals Subcommittee. And that concludes my report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Alec. The applicant isn't with us today. He contacted the officers and said he wasn't able to find anyone to represent him. So there is nothing to hear from the applicant for the licence at this stage or throughout our hearing. The responsible authorities that have made representations and any other interested parties that have made representations may question the applicant and witnesses. That's a little difficult in his absence, and so we need to get over that problem by ignoring it. I think I don't see any alternative if he or his representation is here. So now it's each responsible authority that has made representations to present their representations, including any witnesses. And you will all be given enough time to present your case. So it's a matter of who wants to go first. Will that be you from the police or the Home Office?
Good afternoon. It will be the Home Office, Immigration Enforcement. Am I right to think that in actual fact we're the applicant?
Correct.
Correct.
Oh, sorry, have I got that wrong then? Sorry.
It's because Beth, the applicant, I think you're reading it as the applicant for the licence, but actually the Home Office is the applicant for the review. So
Oh, right. Yes, sorry, Rachel. Yes, I was.
They bring this application and they go first. And normally it would be for the licence holder to respond and effectively have the last word because they would be defending the application, but they're not here.
Sorry, then I've misread that. Then the Home Office representation, please, to come next.
Good afternoon. As I mentioned earlier, I'm Alistair Jenkinson, Inspector with South Central Immigration Enforcement Team. And just for transparency, I was also in attendance during this operation on the said day in question. First of all, I'd like to confirm that all committee members have had time to read the submission pack.
Yes.
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 Okay.
Yes,
brilliant.
we have.
Thank you. I don't propose to read through the whole pack, of course, but I'll make a couple of key points, if I may, before I summarise the case. The ability to work illegally is a key driver of illegal immigration and migration, and it encourages people to break the UK's immigration laws, providing a practical means for migrants to remain unlawfully in the UK. It encourages people to take risks in trying to enter the UK illegally by putting their lives in the hands of unscrupulous people smugglers and leaves them vulnerable to exploitative employers. Illegal working results in businesses that are not playing by the rules and undercutting legitimate businesses that are. It also negatively impacts on the wages of lawful workers and can be linked to other labour market abuse, such as tax evasion, breach of the national minimum wage, and exploitative working conditions. Employing illegal workers undermines the licence objectives, specifically around the prevention of crime and disorder. Immigration enforcement do not just drive around looking for businesses to target. We are an intelligence-led organisation, and there have to be significant concerns for us in relation to any incoming intelligence. We do not routinely refer to seeker licence review, but we do so in selected cases where we have heightened concerns. If I may, I'd like to summarise the review in relation to the 20th of July. So on the 20th of July 2024, South Central Immigration Enforcement Team conducted an intelligence-led enforcement visit to Taipan Restaurant, 103 Old Wokingham Road, Crowthorne, Berkshire, RG456LH. Entry to the premises was under Section 179 of the Licensing Act 2003, and during the course of the visit, 9 members of staff were encountered, of whom 2 were Malaysian males who had no right to work in the UK. Those individuals were arrested and detained by the Home Office, as both individuals were illegally present, having overstayed their permission to remain in the UK. Both individuals had entered the UK as a standard visitor, which confirms permission to enter and remain in the UK for 6 months, but with no right to work, nor recourse to public funds. The licence holder, Mr. William Chung, was not present throughout the course of the visit. The manager of the establishment was, but their first reaction to officers' presence was to flee the restaurant kitchen to the accommodation area above. In relation to those encountered with no right to work in the UK, one of those individuals initially attempted to deceive officers in relation to their presence and role within the working kitchen of the restaurant by deliberately discarding their apron. Both individuals made an admission of being employed and working illegally for Taipan Restaurant for between 8 and 5 months respectively. Both individuals admitted to being employed without any right to work checks being conducted. Both individuals admitted that they are paid in cash on a weekly basis and additionally provided with free accommodation and food as part of their remuneration package. Both individuals admitted to working within the kitchen, preparing food for Taipan Restaurant, and both admitted to working a 6-day week. The manager present on the evening of the visit also confirmed that both individuals had worked within the kitchen of Taipan for a number of months and provided details of their roles and responsibilities and working schedule, and that they were paid for their employment. It is clear that the licence holder has failed to adhere to their responsibilities in relation to ensuring those employed to work within Taipan have a right to work in the UK, and as such have failed to comply with the conditions of their licence. The Home Office supports employers by providing a free and easy to use service via the gov.uk website to confirm a person's right to work in the UK. And in this particular case, the licence holder could have immediately confirmed that neither individual had the right to work by simply checking their passports. Malaysians are non-visa nationals who receive a stamp on entry at the border. This stamp clearly states no work or recourse to public funds. This simple step would have avoided this issue. Officers also evidenced that existing conditions on the licence were not met during the visit. These included confirming that the CCTV was in working order. No one at the premise could access the CCTV. Training logs were not present, and the level of training for staff was unknown. On the 8th of October 2024, a civil penalty of £80,000 was issued to Kwok Poo Lee for employing 2 persons who had no right to work in the UK. An objection was raised, the case was reviewed, and the penalty was maintained on the 28th of October. Kwok Poo Lee subsequently had until the 26th of November to appeal this decision, but no appeal was made. The deadline for the payment of the penalty was the 27th of November 2024, and no payment has been received. No payment plan has been created, and the penalty remains outstanding in full. Concludes my summary.
Thank you very much, Alistair, for that very complete summary that gives us an awful lot of information. It's now the chance of the responsible authorities to ask questions of Alistair. Can you indicate, please, if you want to speak and ask a question?
Sorry, would you like me to illustrate the outcome that we are seeking to achieve prior to questions being asked?
Yes, Alistair, happy for you to do that.
Is that okay? Sorry, I've been speaking a lot, I know. So the outcome we're seeking is section 182 guidance at the point 11.27 outlines certain criminal activity that may arise in connection with licensed premises, which should be treated particularly seriously. This includes, and I quote, employing a person who is disqualified from work by reason of their immigration status in the UK, end quote. Point 11.28 states that where a review arises from such activity and the licensing authority determines that the crime prevention objective is being undermined through the premises being used to further crimes, is expected that revocation of the license, even in the first instance, should seriously be considered. In line with the guidance, the Home Office, Immigration Enforcement, is seeking for the subcommittee to consider revoking the premises licence. All that being said, we recognise that our role is to bring these concerns to your attention as a local licensing authority. This is your area, and it is you that answer to the electorate and represent the interests of the local people. I'm happy to answer any questions from this point on.
Can I start off with a question? Alistair, is there any record of Mr. Chung being held responsible for this type of activity before?
This was our first visit to this premise.
What about in any other premise?
I'm not aware of that, no.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the panel or other authorities?
Right, yeah, just to check then. So if they were employed and paid cash in hand, then they wouldn't have, obviously the employer wouldn't be notifying for pay as you earn for taxation purposes. Is that correct?
I wouldn't be able to answer that.
Right, but okay.
I can I can come in on that. Yeah, where they're being paid in cash, then one of the side effects of that is that you're not paying any national insurance. You're not contributing to the public purse.
I suppose the only other way would be if you were employed as a freelancer, at which point you would be filing a private tax return. But again, if your documentation isn't all in order, you wouldn't be able to do that anyway. Would that be correct?
That's correct, and that wasn't the case in this particular case as well.
No, thank you.
And presumably whoever paid them knew that they hadn't provided national insurance numbers and the other things that you're normally have to provide when you take a job.
That's right. So in this particular case, it's clear that the right to work checks that are incumbent of all employers didn't take place. And like Alistair mentioned, in this particular one, forget getting a share code or going online, just a check of the document. It literally says in the passport, no work or recourse to public funds. And that would have been the first red flag for any employer.
Lovely, thank you. Jackie?
Yes, I heard what you said about you don't sort of go around checking on all restaurants, and this was random, but what prompted you? Because I'm aware of the disorder, the behaviour aspect. What prompted you to go on that day? Did somebody warn you, or?
No, this wasn't random. This was an intelligence-led enforcement visit.
Right, okay, thank you.
Kieran?
Thank you, Chair. Alistair, thank you for submitting the application to review and bringing the panel's guidance bringing the panel's attention to the 182 guidance at 11.27. Can I just ask for some clarity on your report? There's a mention that the cash in hand payment, there's obviously food provided and accommodation provided, but the cash in hand payment is £580. Could I just clarify, is that £580, is that per month?
My understanding was they were paid on a weekly basis. Is that what we're talking about? Sorry, Raj.
So I'm looking at our documentation. One of the workers was paid £600 per week, and that was him working a 6-day week, 9 hours per day. And the second individual was paid £580 cash in hand. I presume it was a week as well, in line with the first worker.
Thank you, Raj.
Would it have been possible for the accountant who did all the books for the restaurant to have seen that money appear and disappear with no explanation given?
I think that the answer to that is beyond our knowledge. It's a perfectly reasonable question, but I think in this particular case we're not the ones to be able to accurately answer that.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
No.
No questions, but just on a quick calculation, that does come below minimum wage, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for confirmation there, Raj. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that confirmation. It puts it into context for us as well. Right, where am I?
Sorry, I just wanted
Rachel.
to throw in relation to Kieran's comment. Yes, it does, but if we were dealing with somebody legally employed, obviously, there is a formula allowing for deduction for food and accommodation. So that would also need to likewise be borne in account. Indeed, on a headline figure, it does come under minimum wage.
Most grateful, Rachel. Thank you.
I think however we look at it, it's a fairly low wage to be paid for that amount of hours. Okay, any more questions? No?
No.
Alistair,
Stay.
sorry.
Sorry, Chair. I think you just need to hear representation from the police as well.
Yes, I've just come up to that. So can I hand over to the police now to put their case forward?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I think Alistair has covered most things off that we do obviously cross quite a bit. There's only a couple of sort of points I would probably want to raise, is just to point out to you that this restaurant actually only opened for business in November 2023. So it's a fair estimate that these two people were virtually employed from very early days in the restaurant. The other thing is, I would say that obviously the buck should stop with the designated premise supervisor. It does seem to me as if he's sort of not taking any responsibility for this, Mr. Cheng. He's also the licensee. So whilst obviously we would like to see the license for the restaurant revoked, we'd also like to see the personal license for Mr. Cheng removed as well. And to be honest, that's it. I think, you know, Alistair covered everything off. There's a lot of crossover between crime and other bits and pieces, modern day slavery, that we have already covered. So I'm not going to go on about that. And that's simply it really from us. Thank you.
Yeah, Gary, can we ask you if there are any other offences for either the guy supervising or the owner?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee?
None.
No? Okay. Do you have any further questions for us, Alistair?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think Alex got his hand up.
Oh, sorry,
Okay.
Alex, I can't see you. Alex, would you like to ask your question?
Just something I wanted to bring your attention to. The personal license was issued by Spelthorne Borough Council, so that we wouldn't be able to revoke that, as far as I know. That would have to go to the local authority there.
And would we automatically pass the information on to Spelthorne?
I
Or
don't
can
know,
we
actually.
request-
Chair, we can notify Spelthorne.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks for clarity on that. Are there any other questions or comments?
Have we had any kind of representation at all from the license holder? Have they submitted anything in writing or any kind of mitigation that we're aware of?
We haven't, Chris, but he did say in the email that he would accept the decisions of the committee.
Yeah.
He
Thank
doesn't have
you.
a lot of choice, really, does he? Okay. I think we've come to the end of the hearing. Rachel, can you confirm that I've not missed anything?
Sorry, Chair, can I just ask you one more thing?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, well, you said about the email coming from, did that come from Mr. Cheng or did that come from the other gentleman?
It came from Mr. Chung, and I think it was the day before yesterday. Was it, Luciana?
Yesterday, I think.
Yes.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes, it was yesterday.
It was yesterday, saying that he couldn't be present and he didn't have anyone to represent him.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
But with Grace there, just because it is a YouTube meeting, we've obviously adjourned this. This is a postponed meeting to provide that ability to get representation, and it's not been had. So I think we've given plenty of opportunity and chance there in terms of the democratic procedure. If it's not present here today, then matters need to be dealt with in the licence holder's absence. Thank you,
And he
Chair.
did sort of say that in his email, and very happy to let anybody see it. He just said, carry on without me, really.
Good.
Rachel, have I got to the end of our procedure now?
I think you have, unless anybody wants to summarise, but it may be you don't require that, given that there's only effectively been one side put forwards.
Does anyone want to add anything to what they've already said, or make a special point that they want us to take note of? Alistair first. You gave us a very thorough
I did. Thank you for
thing
your
of
time.
what's going on.
I'm happy to provide a closing summary, but it reiterates basically the overview that I provided earlier.
Okay, is it just a couple of sentences?
I don't need to provide it if you're satisfied with the depth of the summary I provided earlier.
I'm happy with that. Let me just
No,
ask
no.
the other members.
Yep.
Yeah,
Could
it was
I,
very thorough.
could I ask my colleague Raj if he particularly wanted to draw any attention to anything in particular?
Yes, Raj.
Thanks, Alistair. I think everything's been covered off, and I think we've summarised all the pertinent parts of our case.
Gary?
Yeah, nothing more from me. As I say, I think it's there's nothing else that I need to add.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you to all of you for giving your cases clearly, succinctly, so that we don't have to go through them again. Alec and Kieran, are there any further questions from you?
No, Chair, thank you for the time, and thank you to the responsible authorities that have brought the review. I'm most obliged.
Okay, now the committee will take time to consider all that you've said and come to a decision. Luciana, can I ask you how we'll advise? Will you get in touch with the officers?
The decision will be sent by email. A letter will be drafted and circulated by email. I'll also put a decision note, a very brief decision note on the website, but I will email all the parties concerned within 5 working days.
Thank you. Can we also note in that email that Alistair is going to contact Spelthorne Council?
Yes.
Is there anything else from anyone except the committee? No. Thank you, gentlemen, for your attendance this afternoon. The committee will now make their decision, and as Luciana said, we will let you have note of it within 5 working days.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'd like to say you could go out and enjoy the